Jang Ki-yong and Ahn Eun-jin's tears in the final BTS clip made fans cry along. If that headline made you inhale sharply and press play before reading another word, congratulations. You're exactly the kind of person who understands why behind-the-scenes footage can hit harder than a scripted finale. What started as a handful of bouquets, a drizzle of set lights, and the tired but happy shuffle of crew packing up became, for many fans, the little movie of their own year. Two actors holding each other, and the kind of quiet tears that pull the room and the internet toward a single soft exhale. Asian Star's spotlight captured and shared that fragile slice of goodbye. And once the clip began to circulate, nobody watched it casually. People watched it like one watches a photograph that remembers even when you don't. Picture the scene. It isn't cinematic in the blockbuster sense. No sweeping score, no dramatic camera move. It's the humble choreography of Rap Day. Cables being coiled, coffee cups abandoned like confetti, a crew that knows where the spare gaffer tape lives without asking. In the middle of that practical chaos stand two people with bouquets, one holding sunflowers that seem to say, "Thanks for the light," the other clutching a softer arrangement of florals that whisper, "We made it." The lights are warm, the weather outside may be damp, and the air carries the exhausted sweetness of a job well done. Then comes the hug. Not a pose, not a publicity embrace meant for the lenses, but a long intentional hold that gathers a season's worth of late nights, inside jokes, missed meals, and emotional takeaways into a single human punctuation mark. What makes the moment ache is how obviously unguarded it is. One of them leans in, the other closes their eyes. Both let something, relief, fatigue, gratitude, spill out. You can see it in the slackening shoulders, the small catch in a breath, the quick wipe across a cheek that turns into a genuine attempt to hide a tear. A director calls softly in the background. A crew member pretends not to be looking, and the rest of the set affords them that private second in public. It's the kind of tenderness that doesn't demand commentary. It needs only watching. Fans reacted the way people do when they recognize a mirror of their own feelings. Social feeds filled with clips and screenshots, but they also filled with confessions. People saying they'd watched the drama in solitary nights, that these actors had been the thing that brightened a rough week, or that the little ritual of tuning in every week had become a shared habit between friends. The comments read less like gossip and more like gratitude. "Thank you for the company. This made my end of year sweeter. Can we pause time?" The tearful hug became a communal exhale, a shared closure with real emotional currency. There's a sweet irony here. The industry can be brisk and transactional. Rap days are logistical milestones as much as emotional ones. Yet the tenderness we saw felt like a necessary counterweight. A reminder that storytelling is not only about narrative arc but also about humans who carry the work, minute by minute. Those long hours, the retakes, the cold call times, they don't evaporate into craft alone. They lodge in the people creating the craft. And on that final day, the labor turns outward into thanks. The bouquets are symbolic, but the hug is the language. It's also worth noting the professionalism threaded through this vulnerability. Even as emotion rises, the actors manage the moment with respect for the set and for each other. There's no grandstanding. Instead, there's a mannered, careful generosity, a way of saying goodbye that both protects and shares. That restraint is part of why the clip feels so authentic. The tear is not performance, and neither is the forgiveness in that embrace. It's the quiet remaking of the day into a memory that will live on in behind-the-scenes reels and, more importantly, in the people who made the show. For the crew, this is an ending and a tiny private victory at once. Producers, camera operators, makeup artists, grips, everyone who made the machine run stands witness. You can see it in the background. Someone folding a reflector a little slower, another person holding back a laugh that would break the moment's spell. Rap Day is always bittersweet. This particular rap felt like a group exhale, a moment when you realize what a long arc of shared labor can mean. Fans who understand production culture appreciated that subtext. This wasn't a slick PR flourish, It was something the whole team felt and allowed themselves to feel together. And then there's the audience, whose response turned the private intimacy into a public ritual. People posted messages thanking the actors for filling our days, and noted how these characters had become companions during lonely hours, shared dinners, or a rough season. Others thanked the crew for their invisible work, saying things like, "Thanks for giving us something to look forward to." That reciprocal gratitude is probably the best outcome any storyteller can hope for. Work that moves you, and people who wrote back with sticky, heartfelt comments saying, "We felt it too." Humor finds its place amid the sentimentality, naturally. Fans and some crew members joked about staging a crying competition on the lot, or how many tissues would be requisitioned from craft services. Others made light edits to the clip that leaned into affectionate absurdity. Celebratory captions, mock awards for best on-set hug, or playful polls asking who wiped away tears first. Those jokes softened the intensity in a kindly way. Laughter and tears are cousins after all, and made the communal grieving around a wrap feel more like a shared, lively living room conversation than a solemn memorial. If you're among those who felt the sting, it's okay to be sentimental. Stories end, casts go on to new projects, and yet the small artifacts remain. Photos, BTS clips, inside jokes that leak into timelines. The final BTS hug is one of those artifacts. A small, human record. It's a reminder that stories aren't only told for plot resolutions. They're made as a series of days spent wrestling with lines, angles, and weather, as nights spent balancing emotional labor with laughter, and as moments when people wrap up and say, in their own quiet way, "Thank you." For anyone who's been following the journey, the clip functions as both farewell and benediction. It says, softly, "We finished this together, and we want you to know you mattered while we did it." And for fans who feel a little bereft now that the run is over, this is the natural rhythm of fandom. Endings are sad, but they're also portals to new beginnings, to re-watching favorite scenes, to celebrating the actors' future roles, and to holding these human moments as a small, private treasure. So if the final BTS hug made you cry or smile or rewind 5 times, you're in good company. Thank you to the cast for sharing their artistry. Thank you to the crew for the unseen labor. And thank you to the fans for turning a set of images into a communal goodbye. And of course, keep an eye on BTS Asian Stars Spotlight. They'll keep curating the little windows into set life that remind us how art is made, by humans who love what they do, and who let themselves be seen, briefly, at the end. And honestly, I'm crying right along with everyone else here. Someone please hand me a box of tissues, and while you're at it, lend me a shoulder to lean on, because this moment has completely turned me into an emotional puddle.